What are the signs that a restaurant is going downhill? When the head chef is a microwave. That's just standard Wetherspoons. Prices go up, portions go down. The tables have all slid to one side of the room. Attention passengers, we may be feeling a bit of slight turbulence. She's built like a steakhouse, but handles like a bistro. You sound like a dad. Are you a dad? Haha JK. I was going to say the elevation is less than it used to be. The free bread is the best part of the whole meal. Italian McDonald's seems to be doing quite well still. Well, I mean Texas Roadhouse free bread is the best part of the whole meal, but the rest of their food still kinda good. Wait, is Olive Garden going downhill? No one is eating there. If they previously had a wait at dinner time and now you can get a table immediately at any time, something is amiss. Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Yogi Berra. I had to think about that for a moment. A cockroach falling from the ceiling and landing in your plate that the waiter just brought out to you. How else are you meant to catch them in a restaurant? With your hands, you savage. Management changes in conjunction with menu changes, especially if the menu gets smaller, but not also more upscale. That last could also be that they got a new kitchen manager or GM that know what they're doing, because overly complicated menus aren't sustainable. But both of those things together, generally a sign that the owner's looking to cut costs and sell. Banker here. In my experience, it's been when there's nobody eating there. That's the key, you see. What does being a banker have to do with anything? I'm not racist, but I think they just provided irrelevant information for kicks. Hypothetical: a business starts running out of money. What do? They eat a lot. That might be too subtle a sign though. This is mostly true, but some places just aren't marketed very well. There's a Mexican restaurant near me that has some of the best in the area, but their sign is small and have no social media advertising. When they constantly say they're out of this item or that item, especially if it's a signature item. If the restaurant is nearly empty and there aren't as many servers on the floor during peak times, lunch dinner rush. There's a Mexican restaurant in our city we've been going to 4 years and I've never seen more than 2 other tables occupied at peak meal times. The food is good and relatively cheap, but I can't figure out how they have been open for so long with so little business. We like to come up with the theories, like how it's a front for an illegal gambling ring or a place to launder money for a crime family. Maybe they make their money through tequila or catering. It happens sometimes, yes. There was a Chinese restaurant I used to go that always was almost empty, but the phone was ringing all the time. The specials written on a board on the wall never change, a sign of being completely half-assed. When soup of the day is the same every day. One of my favorite incidents on Kitchen Nightmares. Gordon Ramsay: is this true? Your soup of the day has never changed? Owner: yes. Gordon Ramsay: why? Owner: because I like that one. Gordon Ramsay: then what makes it the soup of the day? Owner: we make it fresh every day. And that's what the soup of the day is. A soup that's made fresh every day. Gordon Ramsay: well, yeah, it should be made fresh every day. But it should also be a different soup every day. Owner to head chef: did you know this? Head chef: yes. I've been trying to tell you. A big key to a restaurant going downhill is an angry British man screaming at everyone in the kitchen. The few clientele are elderly regulars who order the usual by rote, because it's what they've done for 30 years. Their meager revenue doesn't cover additional staff, so the owner acts as host, waiter, and cook. Everything is slow and prepared carelessly. The plates are chipped and scratched. I work in a restaurant where the owner hosts and plates are chipped. It's actually super popular and lucrative. For a minute there I thought we worked together. However, super popular and lucrative definitely do not describe my workplace. Usually old people restaurants are bad, but currently my favorite restaurant is one. It's also a Masses restaurant in the basement of one of the oldest shopping malls. I really don't understand why it's so good, but it is. It's weirdly cheap too for the quality. I live in constant fear of it closing as department stores fail away. It's really hidden, and even though I'm in my late 30s, I'm easily the youngest customer every time I'm there. They have employees handing out menus on the sidewalk. Not necessarily. We went to a Lebanese place by the Arc de Triomphe that not only handed out menus, but had a hostess on the sidewalk convincing people to come in at least 3 different languages that I heard her speak. It was amazing. If it's a food truck and they forgot the parking brake, they forgot the brake, so something is going to break. This surprisingly made me laugh. Thank you. The orange juice tastes bad, and it's filled with old PPL. Never drink orange juice filled with old people. But that's like the definition of Pope. The manager argues with customers instead of fixing issues. When you see the new restaurant is in a location that is known for the restaurants leaving after a few months. A revolving door of staff. People are always quitting due to poor management and probably little pay. Portion size decreases, food quality goes down and price increases. The permanent now hiring banner. I was always told to say, we're always accepting applications instead of yeah, we're hiring. Applicant pools aren't desperate. Desperate restaurants serve bad food or treat their employees poorly. Higher prices and smaller portions. In my town it happens all the time. After the prices go up, the portions get smaller, and then quality follows, usually out of business within a couple months of that. That's true up to a certain point. Really fancy places have tiny portions with very high quality ingredients. I personally think it's a massive waste of money, but if you're rich I can't imagine you'd care about ordering a 4 or 5 course meal. While true, those fancy places don't generally shrink the portions and hike the prices. They started with fancy expensive small portions at high prices, and that hasn't changed. It's the mid-tier places, where it goes from $20 for a filling entree with leftovers to $30 for an entree with no leftovers to $40 for a wait. Where is half my food? Entree. Short staffing for an extended period of time, no changes to the special board or a bloated menu are the 3 I always look for. Poor quality and less quantity. When you feel the ground start to shake and look out the window and sure enough it's sliding down Mount Everest. More sofa bars, they are stocked with 750ml bottles instead of liters for popular brands. Means they don't have the cash flow to afford the cheaper per ounce liter bottles. A permanent sign in the window, for instance stating hours of operation, that's scrawled in magic marker on a crumpled piece of paper held askew by a single, torn piece of masking tape, should be a sign that ownership management is too incompetent to keep the business open, but somehow that doesn't seem to be the case. I'd also add for bars of a hidden sign that a bar is struggling if a bar stops stocking the variety of beers it used to serve earlier on. In the earlier years when a bar first opened, I noticed this just before Hopcat closed in Chicago. I don't patronize bars much, but my passengers have told me enough to make some inferences. 1. Shrinking beer selection. 2. Charging for cocktails by the component. 3. Using mixers. 4. Blank spots on the shelf. 5. Getting lazy about IDs. High staff turnover in key positions. When the food gets worse and worse, many times cause of a change in the recipe to make it cost less, unhappy employees, and when the place gets dirtier and dirtier cause anybody cares about hygiene anymore. When there's a line for the toilet, it's tilted to one side and your ears pop every so often. They suddenly start delivering at home, while they never have before. Changing the menu, constant sales, empty dining room Friday at 6 p.m. You can get a table at 6 p.m. on a Friday night. High staff turnover, special deals offers, and usually the service goes down too. The wait staff is changing a lot, and the waitresses are getting less friendlier every time you visit. When there's no passion from any of the staff. A lot of things, but mainly if the owner manager doesn't care about anything at all. They haven't set out all of the tables and chairs, because they know people won't use them. Self-fulfilling prophecy, because I probably won't go into a place that looks like it's halfway through opening or closing. Turning away customers. One pizza restaurant had a lot of business through Value Connection, where you buy a voucher worth more than you paid, and they also had coupons everywhere. This place packed the place with customers every day, and was a pizza joint to go for about 20 years. Well, new owners took over and suddenly limited all payments to cash or Visa, literally just Visa. No more coupons or vouchers, and the old ones were no longer valid. They took out the conference room wall, even though it didn't add more seating. The menu changed into a nickel and dime model, where little things like ranch plus $0.25, thick crust plus $1.25. The new owners lasted 3 months and closed up shop. They are always out of everything. When you order a martini and they serve it in a water glass, portion size starts getting smaller, while the price either stays the same or slightly rises. The view outside is slightly askew, and stationary objects appear to be moving. The restaurant is called TGI Fridays, directly proportional to the size of their Cisco order. Silverware keeps sliding off the table. Any Chinese restaurant that has pizza rolls in addition to spring rolls is not a good Chinese restaurant. As with any businesses, there isn't enough employees. Nobody want to stay on a sinking ship. When they go down in quality and the free bread. Also, when they advertise 2 for $20 or other similar deals all of a sudden, when they've never had them before, because they're trying to bring in more traffic. If I'm standing on a hill and I see a restaurant on 4 wheels, while its brakes are not working. When some of the food items have been out of stock for years. If you're standing still outside, but it's clearly moving downwards. The food comes out cold and undercooked, assuming you can order in the first place. After the second time of a server taking over half an hour to get to our table, I never went back. Unkempt cleaning, cosmetic issues like peeling paint, light bulbs that don't work, a general feeling of no caring in the atmosphere. They still proudly tout awards events from a long time ago, with no new ones. There is a big name steakhouse in my city that continuously talks about how good they were 12 years ago. These famous people had this to say about us in 2004. We won these awards in 2001. Okay, but nothing since. We went because everyone talks about it. It was mediocre and considerably overpriced for what it was. Basically they got famous for one thing, then they didn't keep up with trends or change their menu. For restaurants atop a hill, the foundations become unrooted as a result of an earthquake. When they keep hiring new chefs, turn wheels toward curb when parking, they get bought out and get rid of all your favorite dishes. RIP cream burley with chocolate bottom and lobster mac and cheese. No one in it on a Wednesday or Thursday. No decorations. Just tables and chairs and your basic counter. Dead on a Friday night. We had main event type place open up here less than 6 months ago, and it's already dead. Food is mediocre. Bowling is just the worst. Games are way overpriced, 1.50 per game per play. Seriously. There is really no appeal to the place for me, and apparently our city feels the same. Less meal for the same or even higher price. You ask the prez if he has a permit to record a pizza review on your premises. Several good reviews on Yelp from people who only left 1 review. We have a steak and shake in town and lots of other late night eats. It's a college town. Other restaurants are busy late nights, 2 or 3 cars in the parking lot of Steak and Shake. Wendy's, Taco Bell, White Castle, all lined up at drive-thru. They have had horrible service for a long time. I don't know how they stay in business. I stopped going to SNS when once they had 3 chances to get my order right and they still didn't. Same here. A manager told me that you have to ask for the cookie inside in the 4 meals. He didn't understand that it is 4 items for $4.